city. We live in city. We live in city.
Sorry we're late. If you're listening on this back on Spotify, that means nothing to you. But for you being live, we apologize for being late. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Straub Bros Sports Show. Big bro Ken, little bro Andrew. How you doing, little bro?
Dude, it has been so nice this week. I've gotten outside. I've been able to actually, enjoy the weather and everything like that. And so I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Pops is rushing us already. All right, let's go. Or that might have been a different kind of all right, let's go. But if I know our father, it's all right, let's go. We're late. Welcome everybody. Thanks again for joining us here on the 216 Sports Network. Not just the 216 Sports Network, but we're going to get to all that here in a second. The 216 Sports Network, you can follow and like us on Facebook. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. Get those, please do that because those subscriptions are growing. I think we're at like 775, 776. A great amount. We're on our way to 1,000. Continue to follow and like and subscribe us there. While you're there, you can find the entire rest of the 216 Sports Network lineup. That would be 4th to 15 with Mel and Smooth. That would be the Jay Rich Show. And that would be the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Straub Bros Sports Show. A new episode of the Ruler's Minute dropped this week. And there was a new episode of Outside Interference that dropped on Sunday where me and Mel and Bob talked to the new world champion, the great Pastor CeeLo. That was an amazing time. So please jump in and check that out. The Straub Bros Sports Show. Us. Our beautiful faces, that beautiful logo. You can find us all over the place. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Twitter, formerly our X, formerly Twitter, at Straub Bros Sports. And you can find us on Spotify. And you can find us on Instagram at Straub Bros Sports Show. Everywhere, baby. Everywhere, baby. Go on Straub Bros Sports Show. You can catch up on all our stuff from the Akron City FC, Cleveland SC game. More on that to come. Also, a big shout out because I didn't just say, I also mentioned to you that we're not just on the 216 Sports Network. Big shout out, KZ Production. We're on their Facebook and their YouTube page as well. We've had multiple people jumping in from there in the comment section all over the place. Shout out to all of you guys. Thanks for letting us be a part and teaming up with us. And you saw it in the intro, unless you're listening and you didn't see it in the intro. Shout out to my guy, Austin, my guy over at Create Your Own Wave Clothing, for rocking with us again. Check them out on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021, and check out the website at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. I was about to say if you follow him on Instagram, you saw this, but you didn't because this was to my Snapchat. I saw just some of the stuff he's working on the website, and it's fire. Please go check it out. Give Austin some love there. Buy some merch. Flat out, it's good stuff. I got to see Austin today at the company picnic because I work at my big boy job with Austin. So shout out to him. We were talking a little bit of stuff. I also got to see another design of one of our shirts. What? Did I? What? Yes. So make sure you check them out. Also, speaking of shirts, shout out to this shirt. Shout out to my Camp Prank shirt. Shout out to my guy Jakey, whose birthday was last week. I definitely stopped by to see my guy. Shout out to the Camp Pranks beer. We miss you, Jakey. Whew. Is that all the news and the shout outs? Yeah, you got anything else before we roll into the news, Strabo? All right, let's go. Let's start talking about sports. We're gonna get some unfortunate and sad news out of the way first. And that would be Auburn running back Brian Battie, who is in critical condition following a shooting in his home in Saratoga, Florida. Unfortunately, the same shooter that claimed his brother, Tommy Battie, who was only 24. Nothing but love to his family and his Auburn teammates. I almost cussed. It's just It's awful. It's just awful. It's just awful. It's one of those, go find your son, go find your child, go find your brother, your little brother, and give them a hug and give them a kiss and tell them how much you love you. I love you, little bro. It's just awful. Hopefully he makes it out of there and recovers. We're sending all our love to you. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get into the sports. Well, the actual sports, not the important side of real side of sports. The Cavs. We're gonna do some of this on the fly because the little bro doesn't know all the stuff I'm gonna throw at him. The Cavs had fired JB Bickerstaff today. If you want some insight on that, I shared an article on my page. I'll be sharing it to the 216 Sports Network page. But our guy Jay from the Jay Rich Show did an article for the NEO Sports Insider. Go and check that out as well. But my first initial thought is, yeah, about time. What is your, or not about time, but this was coming. This was inevitable. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall in terms of the ceiling that JB Bickerstaff was giving the Cavs. I just wasn't sure that the Cavs saw it themselves. I think that they were definitely it seemed at some points that they were leaning towards staying with him and giving him more room to grow as a coach. But obviously, I think the front office sees this team as a win now kind of team, and I think is ready to kind of see what else is out there and what they can bring to this team to elevate them to the level that the front office and the fans think that this team can get to within the next year or two.
Yeah, I think Jay. And here goes Nick. I already knew Nick. This is why I started with the Cavs first. Bring Nick in here first. Shout out to Nick's new profile picture. Bring back Ty Lue. He's going to the Lakers if he actually doesn't come here, or if he would before he would come here. JB Bickerstaff took this team as far as JB Bickerstaff could take him. I like JB. I think JB is going to get another job. I think a job with a team that is young and almost there is kind of where he is at right now. But I don't think he is a good enough coach to take a team that needs real coaching and better plays and stuff like that. I don't think he's the guy for that. I think, and I'm going to answer Mom's question real quick. The question is, does Donovan stay? I think that's why JB Bickerstaff is no longer the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not saying that Donovan Mitchell said, hey, I'm going to leave if you don't fire JB Bickerstaff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is a move that is made because you're going to get somebody in that these guys want. There were rumblings all year of unhappiness in the Cavaliers locker room and just some things that weren't liked. All the reports now that if Mitchell stays, Darius Garland wants out. We've touched on that a little bit. Bye-bye. See you later. I'll package Allen with you and you guys can both go. See you later. So yeah. What's next for the Cleveland Cavaliers in this coaching search? I mean, there's some talented names out there. Personally, I would like to, I don't actually know. Personally, I don't know. I don't know what I want right now, actually. Yeah, and that, the IG stories are full of Cleveland. And yes, the ball was in his court, as Dad said. I'm going to say this, and I already told this to Nick in our group chat. When Donovan Mitchell requested a trade out of Utah, and he did do that, he did request a trade out of there. He did it silently. He did it behind the scenes. He did not do it in any diva-ish way. He did not bait the Utah fans into believing he was staying. He scrubbed his social media. He kept quiet, and he went to them and said, I want out. That is the exact opposite of what he has done this offseason. Referencing back to Nick's comment there. Excuse me. The first story got me choked up, and now all these viewers are walking in like, whoa, what's wrong with this guy already? His IG stories full of Cleveland, all kinds of stuff. Retweeting the stuff saying he's unhappy. So I think all points are to Mitchell staying. This team building around Mobley and Mitchell, and Mobley, who showed you an amazing leap in the playoffs, a leap we were finally looking for, and he did it when it mattered the most. I think you build around those two, and you try to get some bigger guards and some shooting.
Yeah, I mean, I think your comments were a little harsh when it came to Garland and Allen. I think both of them have a lot to offer.
But hold on, it doesn't work anymore. It's
I
it's
get
not that they
you.
don't have anything
I
to work. It doesn't work in this construction with the Cavaliers. They're still
I
great NBA
understand.
players. Just
I
saying.
understand what you mean. I still think it's a tad harsh just in my terms when I'm looking at this team. I think that when you go back to the core without Mitchell, this team was a very cohesive team. It's a team that moved the ball well. They were able to get good looks. They were able to get open space. They were able to spread out. I think, and I touched on this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. I honestly think that when it comes to how this team performed in the playoffs and how their offenses worked down the stretch, I think this was very much a case of JB Bickerstaff not knowing how to utilize every player on the court and kind of just putting the best five out there instead of the best five that will work together. And you know what? It's possible that you would bring a new coach in and the coach says the same thing of these players can't work together. They're just not the right team. But I think that there is, unless obviously Garland wants out, then for sure. But there is, I think, a little bit, of a grace period we should give before shipping everyone off to see if what this new coach can do with the players that he has before we start shipping guys off that maybe he actually wanted in the first place before, we kind of jumped the gun on that. But I think I do agree, though, that in the little small sample size that we did see, it doesn't work.
No. And the problem with what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, in a perfect world, where we can fire this up in an alternate reality where feelings and agents and those other things don't matter. You're right. We hire a coach who we believe is better, who tinkers with the pieces. Here's the problem. Darius Garland believes he is a starting point guard in the NBA with a max contract. Okay. And let's be honest, whether or not, let's take all our feelings out of it. He has started for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he box checked. He's a starting point guard and he has a max contract, box checked.
And he's an all-star.
And he's an all-star. Box checked. He's not gonna. Darius Garland is not going to the bench because we all think.
I don't mean the bench in all terms, honestly. I get what you mean, though.
So and here's the thing: the representatives have said not, hey, depending on what coach you hire, we want on here. It's if you re-sign Donovan Mitchell, we want out. So I think at this point, yes, you're hiring a coach and then you're going to make those moves because you want the new coach's input on who you want. But I think the ship has sailed. I just think the reason I say Jared Allen is I want to build a championship team. And at some point you may be able to get a major, major piece or a major pick with Garland and Allen together. So I just wanted to address me shipping them out 3 seconds into me talking about it. It wasn't meant to be like that.
This is a little harsh. That's all.
I got it. The ship has sailed. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I've seen it in the playoffs enough. So it doesn't work. That's the other thing. Let's take the Cleveland Browns, for example. Let's stay in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah, he was cooking. I think he was cooking that year.
He was.
But I get the sentiment
when it matters though. Like this is the thing of let's take the Cleveland Browns for example. One of the biggest things that we can't really use against your team is you haven't had the playoff runs to say, hey, this hasn't worked or this has worked. The Cowboys have had the playoff runs to show it hasn't worked. The Cavaliers are in that Cowboys boat. They have had the playoff runs to show this doesn't work. This core together doesn't work. It's time to move some things. And if Donovan Mitchell wants to stay, who can be an A option, sometimes an A-, B+, and Mobley, who's shown you to kind of be a B option, sometimes an A-. I think you build around that rather than Garland, who has disappeared at some point, and Jared Allen, who, no offense, is a limited player. I love his defensive presence. I love what he brings, but let's be factual about it. He is limited skill set wise, getting older, and is a bit more injury prone, as is Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. So I'm not saying that is an excuse, but just saying. But let's stay in the NBA, but let's move on a little bit. The All-NBA rookie team was announced, bro. And I don't think there was really any surprises, but I wanted to throw those couple of names at you. The first two big ones, and that would be Spurs center Victor Wembanyama, who also should have been, who was Rookie of the Year and also should have been Defensive Player of the Year. all of his defensive metrics blew Rudy Gobert's out of the absolute water. And you had an entire video package, I know I watched it, of guys having clear layups to the basket and knowing he was in arm's reach. So they completely just drove away to the basket and went back to the 3-point line.
Listen, I get you there, but you could put a clip of Al Farouk Aminu clips together, and you would think he's the greatest power forward of all time. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's clips.
Okay, all of his defensive metrics were better, and his advanced defensive metrics were better than Rudy Gobert's. But
yeah, you're never gonna get a rookie getting that Defensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. But followed by his white clone, Chet Holmgren. The wish white version of Victor Wembanyama. Both great players. Both are it's crazy to watch them both. And then following up would be Hornets forward Brandon Miller, who remember during the draft I think said he was going to be as good as who's going to be as good as Jordan or something along that lines. And they gave you some love for your Al Farouk comment. And then the Heat's Jaime Jaquez Jr., Golden State's Brandon Podozemski. So those are your all NBA guys. I'm throwing all kinds of random stuff at you, and I hope you have seen this. Bro, we had a NASCAR fight. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. We had a NASCAR fight. If Stenhouse see it, because I didn't watch the race either, it's okay. Listen, I've watched some NASCAR races. Your nephew likes NASCAR.
So have I, but like
your nephew watches NASCAR because it looks like Hot Wheels cars on a big track. So we watch it. He's 4, by the way. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch throwing punches. It would start it into an argument. Apparently about something bumping on the track, turned into Ricky Stenhouse Jr. throwing a punch at Kyle Busch. Some rumbling went around. Ricky Stenhouse's dad then threw some punches at Kyle Busch, and then Kyle Busch had punched him in the face. It was some awesome white trash shit, baby. I mean, it was. I don't know if I was watching NASCAR or an old episode of Cops. I'll be honest. But it was awesome, and yeah. By the way, Joey Logano won the race.
Also, just to put this out here, are there 2 more NASCAR names than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch? Like, if you were to tell me, pick 2 names that sound like they would be driving cars around in a circle for 3 hours, I would give you those names.
No, I made fun, but I'm not gonna let you be disrespectful. Kyle Busch is a
Kyle Busch is great, but like
and hold on, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the son of NASCAR legend Ricky Stenhouse.
Yes, I know, but if I'm telling you, if you were to tell me to name 2 names that sound like they drive a car, that is 2 names I would give you.
I got you.
He goes by Junior, I guarantee you, in his household.
Shout out to Nick. My autographed Bush Kellogg's car has risen in value. Nick, personal inside joke. Nick, do you remember the awesome card box opening we watched when they were opening up like pieces of the car inside the cards? Yeah, we need to jump on some of those. But yeah, that's your NASCAR update on the Straub Bros Sports Show. I think that's your first ever. Switching over from white trash to white collar, some PGA news.
Oh yes.
giving some love real quick to my guy Xander Schauffele, getting it done at the PGA Championship, burning 18 in amazing fashion to take away the chance from a 3-hole playoff with Bryson DeChambeau. Schauffele first major after a couple seconds and some top 10s. Shout out to that guy. That's my news.
That's not the story we're going with?
Oh, on the PGA?
That's not the one we're talking about?
Is there another golf story we should talk about that is also white trash? Let's do it.
I think so.
If you missed the PGA Championship, we're getting in trouble and fired this week for real. If you missed the PGA Championship and you missed what happened in the world the world of golf this week, not Xander Schauffele, but Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 ranked golfer in the world, had an issue this past weekend where, unfortunately, and I have to take a serious tone here because as much as we're going to laugh about some other stuff, unfortunately, somebody lost their life. A patron was trying to cut across the street, I think, to get to a shuttle bus or to get somewhere and was hit and passed away. So first things first, our condolences to his family, and because that is the most important part. But Scotty Scheffler was stuck in traffic, and now here's where the reports get fuzzy. I don't side on any. I don't have a horse in this race, so I don't care who thinks they're right. All I know is who said what. But apparent to reports, Scheffler tried to go around. He said he was told he could go around the median to try to get into the course. A police officer told him to stop. He did not stop, and then the police officer apparently tried to stop his car or attach himself to the car. Scotty Scheffler, depending on the reports, went another 20 to 30 feet. Depending on how fast I'm not going here with any of this stuff because I'm not an expert on any of this. But you're the engineer. You could tell me how far that is in terms of. And then he was arrested, pulled out of the car. ESPN's Jeff Darlington was there. He was asking Jeff Darlington for help. Scotty Scheffler was then arrested, arraigned at 8:40 in the morning, then escorted back to the course, I think by 9:15 by one of the course owners, teed off at his 10:30 tee time, hit his driver, hit his second shot into the rough, hit the next shot 2 feet from the pin, and birdied the first hole. Scotty Scheffler.
So, for those that don't know, the video came out today.
Oh, I didn't see the video. Oh, I haven't seen the video. You're breaking news to me.
It's what the report of the Louisville County Police Department was a little blown up.
I may have to refrain from talking.
The video goes, and it's dark because it's early in the morning, and you see Scheffler's car come around the corner, and you see a police officer kind of jump out and tap on his glass, like, hey. Scheffler immediately stops, and then proceeds the arrest afterwards. So I really don't see a dragging or continuing to go. It really did seem like as soon as he was kind of yelled at and realized I'm not supposed to be doing something, he immediately stopped his car, which follows a report of Jeff Darlington and Scotty Scheffler. But obviously more will come out as we continue the story because this has been the biggest golf news we've had in a good while.
Since one of my friends of the show, Tiger Woods, got into some golf trouble.
Driving trouble. Yeah.
Oof, or golf club trouble. But yeah. Scheffler, who did not end up having a great rest of, well, he had an okay rest of the weekend, but what a weekend at the PGA Championship. And that'll do it for your news.
Yeah.
Now,
shout out to Pittsburgh. They were selected as hosts of the 2026 NFL Draft this weekend as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to my guy Craig, who was already like, guys, you're trying to go to. He's a Steelers fan. Guys, you're trying to go to Pittsburgh for the draft. No, Craig, we're not trying to go to Pittsburgh for the draft. And I don't know. I think going to the draft is overrated, but I will eat that one myself. When it was here in Cleveland, I did not go. All right, it's time to debut a little bit of a new segment. A little bit of a new segment. No, it's time to debut a new segment. That is after I check this real quick. I don't know what mom is booing. I'll be honest.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, she's booing Pittsburgh. Okay, never mind. I was like so confused for a second. Sorry, mom. Not your fault.
No new segment.
Doing too much. Right, booing my new segment. No, that was me doing too much behind the scenes. However, debuting a new segment, and that is, what are we gonna do? We run the city, Akron City FC. Our Akron City FC update. The Straub Bros Sports Show was in attendance for the Battle of I-77. And bro, I want to give a big shout out to. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Cleveland SC, their media coordinator, Bailey Medger, Coach Jay, who talked to us after the game because they did win the Battle of I-77 with a 1-0 win over Akron City FC. I also want to give a shout out to Akron City FC owner Nick Turkin and social media director Logan Congrove. We talked to Logan before the game. Check out that interview with him. And then we talked to Coach, and we talked to Coach Horgath And we talked to goalie Ty Bowden after the game as well. We got you some exclusive coverage there on the Straub Bros Sports Show everywhere. You can find that on the Twitter page. You can find that on our Instagram page. You can find that on my personal social media page. You can find it on Akron City FC's Facebook page and Instagram, and Twitter, and the same for
Everywhere.
Cleveland. Everywhere
Everywhere.
you look, you can find us. Look, live everywhere. Like we're freaking Cleveland 19 Action News, baby. Cleveland SC's next game is home against Niagara 1812. Akron City FC's next home game. Pause. Akron City FC's next game is their home opener this Saturday. The Straub Bros Sports Show will be in appearance. We will be there. Pre-game, we were going to do some stuff again at halftime. And then, yes, we will do some post-game on the field as well. I don't know exactly who we're going to talk to, but stay tuned. It'll be anybody who is important. We will talk to Coach. I do believe we're going to have another sit-down with Logan in the pre-game. But we will go from there. A big shout out to Akron City FC because Strabo got his. Show up my beautiful jersey. Because I got mine in the mail today, or I'm sorry, this week as well. So shout out to Akron City FC, like I said, and stay tuned this weekend because the Straub Bros Sports Show is going to do what we do best, and that's cover the footy, baby. Nobody covers the footy like the Straub Bros Sports Show. Nobody covers Akron City FC like the Straub Bros Sports Show. So check us out this weekend. And stay tuned to social media. We'll keep you updated on all that stuff, and we'll shove it down your throats and share it in all front of your faces because you love us. Whew. All right. Now that we did that, let's go back to what we do every week, and that's give out some awards. Our honorary Straub Bro of the Week. Little bro, lead us off.
So this one I wrote early, and it kind of let me down, but what they did before was still good enough to earn them a Straub Bro of the Week. And that is the German team Bayern Leverkusen. Now, Bayern Leverkusen this weekend did something pretty special. They won the Bundesliga title, which is the first time in, I want to say, 12 years since anyone other than Bayern Munich have won the Bundesliga. Talking about, Man City winning a bunch. Bayern Munich has been the staple of winning consistently. But they did not just win the Bundesliga title. They finished their season in the league not losing a single game. Now, in terms of the top 5 leagues in France, Germany, England, Spain, and Italy, this has only been done 3 other times. And to top it all off, like if they had 34 games this season, they only drew 6 times. They had 6 ties and 28 wins. An absolutely remarkable thing. Now, I said they let me down. They were also undefeated in every other tournament they were playing in.
Mm-hmm.
They were undefeated in Europa League, which is a step down from Champions League, and they are undefeated in their League Cup tournament. Now, unfortunately, yesterday they did lose, but they are undefeated going into this weekend.
Didn't just lose.
And relax. All right, it's fine. They still deserve a shout out. So Bayern Leverkusen for completing the invincible season in the league and basically being 2 games away from being an invincible year. They are my Straub Bro of the Week.
I love it. And of course, you only have one.
Of course. You have 17.
1, 2. I got a couple. First one, I already kind of touched on it, but I got to give Xander Schauffele for a wire-to-wire PGA championship win, pretty much. I mean, Mawasaka had a couple chances. Bryson DeChambeau made a run. I mean, guys made runs, but it was Xander's from T to T. And that would be 1-18 for 1 on the day on Thursday, and then 18 on Sunday when he took it. I also want to give once again Akron City FC a Straub Bro of the Week for having us and helping us out at their game, and then for having us this week at their home opener. So shout out to you guys. We appreciate you. And then us for our great weekend we had on it. And then I'm going to give the goal scorer from Cleveland SC, and that would be Ryan Sommerfeld. A little shout out there. Woo.
Don't
inside,
even.
Inside joke. And yeah, that'll be my Straub Bros of the week.
Oh, that was pretty quick. I respect that.
My Straub Bros of the week brought to you by Create Your Own Wave Clothing. Don't ride the wave. Create your own wave. Create your own wave apparel. CYOW. MyShopify.com. Let's get it. All right. Let's hit this playoffs, bro.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about first?
Boom.
Boom. The one he put up. Let's talk about the NBA. So he didn't update the graphic. That's okay. I'll update it for him. So Boston is up 1-0 on the Eastern Conference side. Dallas, after last night's game, is up 1-0 on the Western Conference side. But let's touch on the East first. The Celtics steal game 1, 133-128 after Jaylen Brown's corner three saved Jason Tatum's ass from being absolutely just killed in the media, deservingly so, after the Pacers blew it down the stretch in the last minute. Because that is absolutely what they did. Sorry, something made something crazy noise behind me or around me, and I was checking to make sure nothing was about to eat me, or a dragon was about to take me away. Pacers blew this down the stretch, not calling a timeout on the inbound, the turnover. Jason Tatum got bailed out by Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, like this. Obviously, credit to Jaylen Brown, credit to Boston, and you were absolutely right. The Pacers had every opportunity to steal this one away. And I feel like this is how this series is going to go the rest of the way. I think that was the game you needed to make a statement that we're not here just to, shuffle Boston to the NBA Finals. We're here to play. And then they blew it. And so I feel like this is now going to be a series where the Pacers, after that pretty brutal series with the Knicks, is just not going to have enough steam, enough gas to contend with Boston for this series. And I hope I'm wrong because, if anything in the NBA playoffs has told us differently, when we've talked about Minnesota and Denver, we are sometimes very wrong about this sort of thing. But I have a feeling Boston, just because of the fresh legs and not having to do.
Okay. All right. So your audio cut back in and kind of saved you there. But yeah, I think here's the thing though. These 7-game series are chess matches. I'm allowed to be critical of you if you absolutely blow it on the first move. And that's what I think the problem is. I think Indiana blew this. I think this was absolutely an opportunity to take home court advantage, take a game against a team that you can say Indiana can match up, but Boston is the better team. Boston is a better team. So I do worry now for Indiana. Did you lose your only chance to kind of really gain some footing in this series? I criticized Jason Tatum, but I got some stuff to back it up. I'm not just talking on my ass and being critical. Jason Tatum, the last 9 minutes and 44 seconds of regulation, 0 points, 0 for 4, 2 absolute bricks, and a miss on a game-tying 3. So, yeah, he had a great overtime. I'll give you that. He should have never gotten there. He got bailed out. And yes, sometimes you got to get lucky on these playoff runs, but please miss me with this Jason Tatum is the next guy thing. The Boston could win.
He's been the next guy for like 6 years.
Yeah, and he's not. It's Luka, and it's Ja when he's healthy, and it's SGA, and it's Jokic, and it's Giannis,
and it's Anthony Edwards,
and it's Ant. We're gonna talk about him here in a second. It's not Jason Tatum. He's down there. I'm sorry. Moving on to the other series. Speaking of Luka, Dallas Mavericks and Ant. Dallas Mavericks, Minnesota Timberwolves. What a damn game that was, and what a series this is gonna be. Kyrie and Luka take care of the Timberwolves, 108-105. And when I say Kyrie and Luka take care of the Wolves, Kyrie and Luka combined for 81% of the scoring.
Yeah, that's LeBron Kyrie days NBA
Yep.
Finals kind of numbers there.
Absolutely.
I just want to say though, because this series, the Minnesota Denver series was 3-2 Denver last time we talked about it, and we were basically saying Minnesota was out of it. So sorry for props to them for making us look foolish, but
You look foolish.
oh, okay. But this is the series, like Boston, Indiana. I think it's gonna be good, but I think there's gonna be some letdown at the end of the game, at end of games. I think this Dallas and Minnesota series is going to be absolute box office to watch, and
Mhm.
I cannot wait to see who comes out of this.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be great stuff. All of our there are no current or reigning MVPs left in the playoffs. They have all been eliminated. So Luka, so Anthony Edwards, so Jason Tatum, so Tyrese Halliburton. Who's gonna be the guy? Who's going to step up? Who's going to put their name in that list? Who is going to kind of take that next leap and going to be looked at next year as an MVP guy? Or if you're somebody like Luka, no offense, you're already kind of in that running. So we will see. Don't sleep on these Timberwolves. Absolutely not.
No.
But man, I will say this. It's great when you have two guys, like everybody says. This is the point of why they put these teams together, to have
Yeah.
these kind of things where a guy can go on an absolutely crazy start and have 24 in the first half like Kyrie did, and then let Luka carry it down the stretch. Kyrie has found him another LeBron. And when I mean, you can see it in the way he plays, in the commitment that he has on both ends of the
Yeah.
ball. And I'm not saying Luka is LeBron. Let's not be stupid here. I'm not comparing the players. I just means in terms of Kyrie. And I think this should tell you, because Kyrie, for all of the things that people will say about Kyrie is extremely intelligent. Kyrie is super smart. And Kyrie is a super smart basketball player. I don't think Kyrie looked at James Harden and thought he could do that with him. I don't think Kyrie looked at Kevin Durant and thought he could do that. Kyrie looked at LeBron and knew he could do it and did it. And I think he looks at Luka and goes, "Oh, yeah, we can do this. We can win with this guy." Now that the others are playing great, and when I say others, Shaq talks about those guys all the time. You have to have the others to win a championship. And I think the Mavericks have that. Absolutely. I don't think Kyrie likes to be Batman. I think he likes to kind of turn it on when he can and then not have to when he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think
agree.
Luka likes to just be the guy. So I think that's why it works so great. And now that they've got some guys around them that are really, really talented and can just play and don't care about doing kind of anything but hitting wide open shots or wide open threes and catching alley oops and then play defense, you're going to be all right when that happens. So that's what I think in that series. The East, I mean, I think, like I said, I think Indiana blew it. I'm going to put you on the spot now. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take Dallas and Boston. That's what I'm looking at right now.
So I'll stick with my statement. I think Boston just is too fresh. Indiana's just too worn out from the Knicks series. I take Boston. Oh, that's tough. I think Anthony Edwards is a rising star in this league. And I think this might be the series that he proves that. Give me Minnesota in 7.
Wow. I like it. We'll move on. The hockey playoffs will be a much smaller segment because only one series has actually kicked off. The Edmonton and Dallas series starts tonight at 8:00. The Pacers and Boston play tonight. If I am correct, I am double checking that literally while I am speaking to you. So if you are live with us, literally just bear with me for the most uncomfortable segment in the world.
And see, look at that. Nick agrees with me on the Anthony Edwards take, so I'll take that all day.
Nick's got Timberwolves in 7. I think, hey, listen, that's fine. You can all be wrong.
That series could go either way, if I'm being honest, though. So I'm not
Oh,
like I love Luca, I love Kyrie, I love that whole Mavs team, but there's just I hate to use the word, there's just an aura around this Minnesota Timberwolves team, especially after they beat Denver, that I don't think Dallas has.
an aura. Yeah, that game is tonight as well. Sorry. Um. So back to the hockey. We had a development last night, and that is the New York Rangers did not take the lead in a series and not assert their dominance. They got absolutely spanked by Florida last night. Florida controlled this entire game. I watched the entire game. There was kind of no real doubt about this. Like I said, they pretty much took it to New York from the first opening face off. I almost called it the opening tip. Sorry, switching to too many sports. Get my sports center on. But yeah, Florida dominated this game.
Yeah. And it kind of surprised me because when I looked into this game right beforehand, it felt to me like this was going to be the Dallas Minnesota series, but for hockey, where these are your teams that you like very evenly matched, very high powered, very high tempo. What are you going to do?
And Florida punched them in the mouth.
And Florida just came up and started swinging. Now, listen, New York has every opportunity, and they probably will come back swinging and take game 2 or possibly game 3. But that first hit is the one that sometimes decides the series. And so let's see what's going to happen there. On the other side, I think this is very much a Boston and Pacers kind of thing where Edmonton just got out of a very, very tough series with Vancouver, and Dallas it kind of had a little bit of rest after handling Colorado, and they are the better team. You could see Edmonton, like Nick just said, have the best player on the rink. But
that's my point. Edmonton has the best player on the ice. And I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish your point.
But Dallas, I think, in terms of overall, just from top guy to bottom guy, has the better team. And if you can I know it's easier said than done, but if you can take out or at least limit what he can do, and I think Dallas can do that, I think that is what's going to happen in this series where Dallas can overwhelm them with their numbers, while Evans just has to rely on one guy.
I don't disagree with you. But having the best player in hockey helps. I kind of think the opposite for what's going on the other side. I think the problem is, even when we looked at that Rangers Carolina series, every one of those games was so close and
Carolina was hot.
I don't know. I don't want to say it for sure, but I wonder if New York is kind of starting to kind of run out of gas. But we will see over there. I know Dallas has kind of. I know there was a 7-game series with Las Vegas, but then other than that, they kind of took care of Colorado. I don't know. There's something about having the best player, like I said, on the ice, and I'm always going to pull for a Canadian team. I know I'm supposed to have like Dallas loyalty or something, but no, but whatever.
I will say though, obviously they could have worn that out. They could have been worn out from the Vancouver series, but they could just as very well have gotten just so motivated after that Game 7 win that takes them into the next series. So we'll just have to see how they come out Game 1. Do they come out kind of like Indiana, where their kind of wheels fall off, in the fourth quarter, in the third period in this instance, or do they do what a Florida did and just go straight at them and punch them in the mouth because they are ready? We're just gonna have to see tonight, but whatever happens, we'll get a much better idea how the series is going to go tomorrow.
To be fair, because there is people rocking with us who are like, that best player on the ice would be Connor McDavid, former number 1 pick. Just in case somebody was like, well, who the hell are you talking about? Florida Panthers have former Columbus. I knew this, but showed it good to point it out. I have former Columbus Blue Jackets goalie Sergei Bobrovsky. But yeah. All right, well, enough hockey, enough playoffs. Let's get to the hottest team in the damn world, the hottest team in the land. It's time to guard the land. It's time to talk about our Guardians. We are back rolling, baby. 33-17. A game and a half in the Central. We are 9-1 in our last 10 games. We are back to being tied for first in the majors for best record, except the Yankees just jumped us. I see, but we have the same amount of losses. But I see the Yankees now have one more win. But we were tied for that best record in baseball. Whew. Also, the only team in the major leagues this year to rattle off not one, but 2 5-game winning streaks that we turned into a 6-game winning streak, which, and I apologize, it's been a crazy day. We're on tonight again, right?
No, we are off tonight, and
Today's an off
then
day. Okay.
and then we play somebody this weekend.
That works. I didn't reset the TV yet, the lineup for the TV tonight because of the show. So, a couple things I want to point out about our Guardians. All right, I'm gonna hit some points, and then I want you to hit on them, touch on them with me. First of all, the hits are coming all over the place right now. It isn't just top heavy in the lineup. 5 through 6, 7 through 8, in these past 5 to 6 games as well. 2 players in the top 10 in home runs. Do you remember in spring training when I asked where the home runs were going to come from?
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. 2 players in the top 10, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor. Jimenez. Oh my goodness. Really starting to roll, really starting to own up to that contract. 7 games, 8 hits, 4 RBIs.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Jimenez?
So last week we were 27-17. We were on a little bit of a slump. Jimenez Kwan had just been injured, and it was him and Naylor, and then one guy every other day kind of getting it done for us, and then the bullpen saving us. And Kwan went down, and it was kind of just Naylor, and no one else was doing anything. And then all of a sudden, Hosey started to hit again. Jimenez started to hit again. Manzardo finally got out of his first game slump. When he got called up, he's hitting again. And now you're seeing that these players, maybe they rallied around the injury of Kwan, or they're just finally starting to warm up because it's actually 70 degrees finally in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
But this team is finally starting to show that maybe that first little half wasn't just a fluke. Maybe we are more well-rounded than we anticipated.
Yeah.
Sweeps of the Twins and the Mets. Second in the AL, like you said, we haven't lost a game since we talked about them last week. I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
I know. Listen, I get it. There's some expectations now because this team, we're going into the end of the second month of the season, and teams are starting to kind of show you who they are. Okay. Yeah. Oakland Athletics, 20-30 after that hot start. You know what I mean? Houston Astros, 22-28 after a horrendous start. Yeah. So coming back to life, showing you where. Texas, look at that, 2 games under. Look at the Seattle Mariners after a super rough start, back on top of that division. The Yankees, the Orioles, showing you who they are. Nobody expected the Red Sox to be horrible this year. Look at them, back to above 500. Like this is your start. Teams are kind of showing you who they are, and the Cleveland Guardians are showing you that they can hit the ball. They have a good bullpen with multiple options and multiple weapons that they can use, and the starting pitching is being held together by duct tape, pine tar, gum, whatever gum they have left over from Tito being in the dugout. I know that's a lot, but that's pretty much what's keeping our starting rotation together right now. I want to throw out some other stuff though, because this is I listen, you want to talk about guarding the land. I'm one of those statues with these stats that I've got. MVP candidate Jose Ramirez tied it for first in the major with 45 RBIs. Okay. 12 home runs. We talked about the top 10, but I want to talk about some of his splits. Okay. Yeah, I'm diving into splits here on the Straub Bros Sports Show, lefties and righties. He has 49
weeds.
He has 49 at bats. He's got a 327 average with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, only 6 strikeouts. So that's not bad for 49 RBIs. But versus righties, 145 at bats. It's a 234 average, but 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, 17 strikeouts. Ken, what did you just tell me? What I just told you is that basically it is a carbon copy split of the third of his at bats. That's how good Jose is from both sides of the bleeping plate. The best first baseman in Major League Baseball. We need to talk about him. His name is Josh Naylor. 12 home runs, 34 RBIs. Here's something in his splits that I found that was interesting. And this is the last guy I'm talking about splits for, but we're getting nerdy here on the Straub Bros Sports Show and not from the aerospace engineer. At DH, Josh Naylor has 20 at bats, only 6 hits, 1 home run, 8 RBIs, compared to 150 at bats, 11 home runs, 26 RBIs. You're not getting the production from Josh Naylor on those off days. Do they need to eventually just turn into rest days rather than, you know what I mean? And then he's next on my notes, so I'll put up Nick's comment. David Fry for MVP. This man isn't just a utility man. He's a play against anyone who not only pitches with their left hands, writes with their left hand. If you touch a door with your left hand, David Fry is playing against you because that man is going to park you. Literally catcher, first base, outfield, third base. The man is literally a Swiss Army knife. He is getting all of the at-bats that Arias is blowing, and Manzardo was blowing until Manzardo finally started getting the rolling. But David Fry, absolutely on fire. And then we got to talk about the kids, bro.
Yeah.
J-Rod, Jonathan Rodriguez was called up for his first major league debut. Excuse me, fine. Got his first major league hit, which was an RBI. You talked about Manzardo coming through, getting a lot of pinch hits. I think he needs to just start hitting for Naylor on some of those off days. But talk to me about the kids. Talk to me about everything. Talk to me about how damn good this guards team is, and talk to me how blown away you are that I started bringing up lefty-righty splits.
Yeah, first I was like, oh, we're okay. I get yelled at if I start bringing up, small little soccer details, but this man's going into like ERA plus stats over here. But no, listen, these kids are playing well enough, and I think that's the biggest key here, is because last year and 2 years ago we had a lot of players who were young, but they needed to be good for this team to contend. Now you are bringing these kids up and you're saying, we have our core. We have Naylor, we have Ramirez, we have Jimenez, and even on our pitching staff, we have McKenzie. We have these guys who are our core. Just get comfortable, and when you're ready, we're going to put you in. And that is what's working right now, and that's why I'm loving what Stephen Vogt is doing, is because he's not pulling a Tito later in his career where he was throwing these guys in, and if they didn't succeed, put them back down or bench them. He is letting them work through just ironing out the kinks, because now in the situation we're in, we can afford that, and we're allowed to do that. So, maybe not all on Tito, but I think what Vogt's doing right now is working absolutely perfectly. And I think that now we're getting into the summer where Kwan is about to start his rehab assignments. Gavin Williams is about to start his rehab assignments. We are getting into these things where we're going to get our starters back. And now you have kind of pursed through these rookies that we've wanted to call up for a couple months now. And now you are going to be able to kind of start putting in puzzle pieces and building this lineup to get ready for the playoffs when we get down the stretch, when this team needs some youth and some energy, when all these guys who are playing 100+ games need a break down the stretch.
Well said, sir. Well said, kid. That's why I bring you. That's why you're on the show with me, for wisdom like that. Before we do touch over on the National League, Ben Lively deserves some love too. Absolutely.
Oh,
Blake,
100%.
And Blake Lively too. So anytime we want to talk about Blake Lively on the show, I'm here for that as well. But yeah, the pitching, like I said, the pitching's been clutch. Shout out to Hedges, or not Hedges. Whoever got the save last night, I apologize. When Class A didn't get the save, or I'm sorry, the other night. I'm all over the place. Yeah, we'll touch over in the National League too. And like I talked about, teams coming back to who they are. Okay. The Marlins are not good. The Rockies are not good. The Reds are, they're trying.
Not well managed.
The Phillies and the Braves are the best teams, two of the best teams in baseball. So along with the Dodgers, the Padres are up and down. That record shows it's 500. You know what I mean? The Diamondbacks, like last year, you know what I mean? They're not. Um, the Diamondbacks came from a bad start to make that run. So these teams are coming back to who they are. The Mets, we were able to sweep them. They've been not great this year at all. Shout out to that answer for me. That would be Cade. That's who got the save for the Tribe. Shout out to you, Nick, for that one. But yeah, I mean, the National League's coming together. It's basically kind of between four teams, realistically, in my eyes. Like we talked about every week on this show: Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, Padres. I mean, that's who it's going to come down to.
Although I like Milwaukee this year a little bit. I'm gonna say that just as like a dark horse kind of Arizona Diamondbacks sort of team.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, I'm not going to say they haven't won me some parlays, but I just, it is what it is.
It's essential. I get it.
Oh, hey, listen, you know how we do things on the Straub Bros Sports Show. But yeah, so that's how I feel about the National League as well, and that just doesn't help you guard the land. Home run pitch, my guy Hosey up there. That takes you around the Major League Baseball diamond as well. So, hour in, bro, and it's time to get into the big one. Stick around with us, ladies and gentlemen, because this one's going to get fun, because it is time to crown some champions and to get into the footy. Before we get into the footy, Nick says Acuna stinks. And also, I read a report that the Guardians are a player for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Shout out to whoever.
All sorts of weird stories today.
Shout out to whoever person wrote that in whatever state he lives in that has legal marijuana. Because you smoking that good shit. If you think Vlad Guerrero Jr. is coming to Cleveland. I mean, it's warmer than Toronto by default, I guess, but not a lot. But it is what it is. All right.
Edwin
so
part two,
it's time. What?
Edwin part 2, baby.
Yeah. It is time to talk about some footy, and it's time to talk about some champions. First thing is first, we are going to crown some champions of Europe. Okay, and that would be Atalanta for winning the Europa League championship over almost said Bayern Munich. Help me out here, bro.
Bayern Leverkusen.
I'm sorry. Nick is throwing up Acuna stats. It's 242.
All right, let's
2 home runs. Oh yeah, Acuna has not been good. Acuna's not been good this year, but Atlanta's been good this year. That's been the issue. And Atlanta Braves, who won the Europa League, Atalanta. So we're shifting right back over into the footy. That's how we do it. So yeah, shout out to them. Champions League final coming up here in a couple weeks. We will talk about that way more next week. We've got some other stuff to talk about in terms of what's coming up this week. But all right, Drew, it's time to talk about it. And that would be our final run-in for that EPL season review. As you see, the results on the page. I want to actually not touch on these results first, bro. Can you throw me, and we're going to switch graphics mid-team. Can you throw the table up for me?
Yes, final table.
Appreciate you. Manchester City, number 1. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 4. Those are your Champions League finalists. Bro, I sat next to you and your boys, the Marzinski brothers. Shout out to those guys for coming through. We watched the final day together. We watched 4 games at once. We watched the Arsenal game. We watched the City game. We watched my game. We watched your game. Well, nobody watched your game and my game, me and you. But thoughts on Manchester City winning the Premier League?
So,
if I sound salty, I am.
This was a weekend that, while it did technically had the possibility for drama, there wasn't any, because we all knew as soccer fans the outcome of this weekend. Manchester City, all they had to do was win. They did that. Nottingham Forest, all they had to do was not lose by 6 goals and not have Luton win by 6 goals. Nottingham Forest won, so they stayed up. So a very chalk weekend and results. But I think it's still interesting to look at the table and kind of give a little bit of a reflection on what happens and what is going to be going moving forward, because you have Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and now first time since I can't even remember how long, Champions League, Aston Villa is now heading there. So that is a massive development, especially for a city that really hasn't had a lot to, celebrate other than last year. That's great for them. Tottenham falling out of fourth place, now going to Champions, going to Europa League this season. My Chelsea team coming from a very, very rough three-quarters of the season, rattling off 5 or 6 wins in a row to get that Europa Conference League after not qualifying for anything last year. And then if you go down the end of the table, unfortunately, all 3 teams that were promoted last season are now being relegated. Luton fought tooth and nail. They were so fun to watch this year, but just couldn't get over the line. So props to them. I'm sure we'll hopefully maybe see them back, but I know with those kind of teams, money is tough to come by, so we'll see what happens there. But I think, all in all, a season that we've seen a couple times in the past couple years, but still a fun season and an interesting one that we're going to be seeing coming up next, considering one coach in the top 4 will no longer be there, and another coach that just won.
Slow down.
Another coach that just won has hinted that after next season might not be there either.
Right, and we will touch on that couple of that stuff in a second. I do want to throw this comment up. Shout out to Bailey. Listen, we already gave you your shout out, first of all, for hooking us up there at the Cleveland.
Gotta let the league develop before we get in tables.
And yes, we don't know. Right, no NPSL table until we go a couple games in. Shout out to Bailey rocking in with us from Cleveland SC. As we said, Cleveland SC took down Akron City FC in the Battle of I-77, 1-0 on a nice goal from Ryan. And hey, we appreciate you getting out of work and rocking with us, Bailey. But yeah, Bailey, when you're done with this segment, throw it back a couple. Right before the Straub Bros Sports Show, we did a nice little breakdown on that game. Like I said, Straub Bros will be in attendance for Akron City FC's next game, and then we will do some switching around because we're going to get to you another Cleveland game as well. But let me jump back into some of this EPL results and talk. First of all, FU 115 City at the Etihad. Okay, I had to get that out of the way now. 4 in a row. That's ridiculous. I'm absolutely salty about it. Aston Villa hasn't been on this much of a run since How I Love a Man Named Ashley. Ashley Young was there. That's the last time they were really kind of flirting with this kind of top 4. Shout out to Unai Emery for turning them around. Phil Foden settled this thing 12 minutes in, 8 minutes in, it felt like.
A minute and a half.
A minute and a half. We all kind of looked at each other, and there's 4 of us in the room. Everybody looked around the room and went, huh? One of them's a City fan. And we're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of over from there. The drama was Arsenal capping off my 17 parlay that cashed out a good amount because it took them forever to finally actually get their goal. West Ham did everything they could to try to make a game of it with City, and getting on the score sheet with an amazing goal, overhead kick. But I mean, it was really, there was really nothing there. I'll jump to the bottom real quick. Sheffield United. It was good to see you come up. Sad to see you go. Burnley, who just lost their coach, former 115 City and Etihad captain. And I lost his name because I was trying to find
Vincent Kompany. Yeah, quit hating to get the name.
Vincent Kompany has been rumored to be linked to the Bayern Munich job, and not just linked, but conversations are seriously happening there.
Talk about failing upward.
I was about to say, you took the words right, took the joke right from me. Talk about failing upwards. Hopefully you go make them miserable and awful too, like you did at Burnley. Burnley will be okay. Luton Town. Yeah, I'm gonna actually disagree with Bailey, and I know Straub has the same exact thing, that they were happy that Nottingham Forest stayed up. I wanted to see Nottingham Forest go down because I wanted to see Luton come up.
Whoever it was, I want to see Luton.
I wanted to see Luton get that revenue. I wanted to see Luton be able to then invest in that team, which was really great sometimes to watch throughout this year, really play with the big guys and never be scared. I'll touch on the mid part of the table because it's where I'm living. Sure. Shout out to Spurs and Chelsea who have locked up some European football. Spurs will be playing in the Europa League. Chelsea will be playing in the Europa Dopa Conference League. Apparently, my stupid ass squad could apparently get into one of these European leagues if we win the game that we will touch on coming up here soon, which is the biggest tug of war in my life now. But go ahead.
So we've talked about this to an extent how it is very tough on teams to play in Europa League and Conference League because of the games on Thursdays. Yes. There has been a report that has come out today that due to the expanded Champions Leagues, they will also be playing on Thursday. And so there really isn't an issue anymore where, I got to play on Thursday because I'm in a lower thing. No, everyone is going to play on Thursday now. And so there really isn't too much of a downside now on playing in one of those conferences anymore.
I still don't want to play in them.
I know.
All right. So I'm sorry because I didn't write it down because I want nothing to do with it. And Ray, thanks for popping up with us as you're getting ready to debate this weekend. Wrexham, yes, Wrexham. We will talk much more about Wrexham this upcoming season as well as they gain promotion as well. And if you haven't watched Welcome to Wrexham, you're missing out. Go watch it.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know which one I'll get in. Is it Conference League or is it Europa?
It's Europa League. It's Europa. FA Cup is Europa League.
Okay. I don't do so terrible in that one, so I'll take a Europa. Sure,
unless you play a mid-table Spanish team.
Yeah, then I don't know. It doesn't have to be mid-table. They could just have some guys on their team that speak Spanish, and I'll lose to that team. That's all that happens. So I
got something.
Hold on. So I know you. I know what you're gonna throw to. So that's your Premier League. That's how it finishes up. Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle United. Then at the bottom, going down, Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United. Now, before the show started, before this thing was the thing, before we had a box that I sat over him like the Brady Bunch, and there was a story about two bros who love some footy. We have a group chat where we talk nonsense all day long and send each other stuff. And Drew found with his buddies a thing where you could predict how every team in the Premier League would finish. Of course, me and Drew filled one out. And I think my brother's about to embarrass me.
Yeah, so honestly, it wasn't terrible for all of us. There was a couple swings and misses, I think, by all of us, really. And unfortunately, it was all with one team in particular.
You all believed in my damn team.
So first, we'll start off with Ken's.
Let's do it.
Ken, here is your Premier League standings. You had Arsenal winning, very, very close. You had your Manchester United finishing second under the current champions Manchester City, and Liverpool rounding it out at 4, with Wolves, Luton Town, and Sheffield being relegated. So 2 out of the 3 on the relegation, but and you did swing and 2 out of 4 on the champions, but you did swing and miss on the champions.
My biggest miss there would be Tottenham down in 11th. And I think my biggest hit would be I did at least have Aston Villa in 7th, and I had Newcastle in 6th. So I had them both kind of relatively up where they were. I did believe in Villa. Yes, I did have you higher. And I believed in my team like the rest of us idiots did. But yeah, I wasn't very far on Nottingham Forest and Everton either. I believed both of those teams were going to struggle. And in there goes to show you, I absolutely believed the Wolves were not going to have a good season.
Yeah, they were very up and down.
Yeah.
All right, and so we can go into mine. I did have
with a better
Manchester City winning. Well, because someone didn't send me the correct graphic, so I had to splice yours together. So I had Manchester City winning, which was correct. I did have Liverpool finishing second and United third. That was more along the lines of I didn't think I'm an Arsenal hater, so I didn't think that they'd do so well. I did get Newcastle 5th and me 6th, so I had mine correct. I did not believe in Aston Villa, but I did believe in them the same as you. I did get 2 out of the 3 again for Luton and Sheffield going down because, as both of us predicted, we thought Burnley was going to do a lot better when they did after breaking the points record in the championship and then now immediately going back down, not even finishing in the last relegation spot, finishing the second to last relegation spot. So Not too bad on my side. I feel like I did a little better than you, but I think we can both admit that picking Manchester United to get anywhere near the top 4 was a very poor mistake on our parts.
Hell yeah, it was. I mean, you had 3 out of 4, so by default there you get that. Your Chelsea there in 6, you nailed it too. We both nailed the bottom half there. So yeah, we both did good. You did well as well, sir. I'll give you credit there. I mean, we weren't wrong to think Manchester United were going to have a better season after
They
the way
looked
we finished,
so good last season, yeah.
and then the people that we did bring in and the way that was going to go. But speaking of Manchester United, there is a major game this weekend. There's a couple of big games. I don't know if you have your big game weekend this upcoming weekend graphic. Go ahead and throw to that if you do.
So to recap,
It's trophy time, as we talked about. We didn't talk about the Coppa Italia. Juventus beat Atalanta, and then Atalanta turned around and beat Bayern Leverkusen in the Europa League final. Sunday, May 19th. I'm sorry, that would actually be that was the champions. My bad. Next graphic.
wow.
Boom. Yes. And that would be, obviously, we have Thursday, but let's get to the big one. Yeah, let's get to the big one. Saturday, 10 a.m., FA Cup final, Manchester United, Manchester City. Wow. This is going to be a tough one. Now, we have Lisandro Martinez back. Harry Maguire is going to miss. So, I mean, at least I have one actual center back to play in this game. I guess that means we're probably starting Casemiro. Because
he played great this weekend.
Yes, he did. Shut up. I don't know. Manchester City, we have to hope is just still drunk. But here's the problem.
Pictures?
Yeah, but here's the problem. That's exactly what I said last year. And then they thumped us 8 seconds into the game, and it was pretty much over from there. So, I mean, I don't know. What I would have really hoped is that somebody went to these players behind the scenes and said, don't worry. If you don't want Ten Hag, you can still win this game. We won't keep him. Or if you want him, it doesn't matter what happens in this game. But damn it, can we not let City hit a double? Like, seriously? I'm sorry, a treble, because they won the other one.
No, Liverpool won the League Cup.
Liverpool did. So yeah, that was Klopp's only trophy. I apologize. I don't know.
Hey, listen, I think we're all pulling for you on that one. I think that United is a team that just kind of needs something to kind of put their head on at the end of the season, just to kind of like, hey, we did something. We were playing well at some point. But good luck to you there. Tonight, like we just said, we had the Liga MX final, the first leg. That is Cruz Azul versus Club America. That'll be a really good game. As well as the FA Cup final on Saturday, you have the DFB Pokal, which is the German Cup final. FC Kaiserslautern, which is a Division 2 team, going up against, like the previously mentioned, almost undefeated team, Bayern Leverkusen. You have your Coupe de France final, Lyon versus PSG. Everyone's rooting for Lyon there because, for those that don't know, PSG is run by very, very rich oil people that just buy everybody, kind of similar to Manchester City. And then in the Scottish Cup final, you have a massive rivalry, Celtic versus Rangers. You also have an American on the Rangers side, or on the Celtic side, and Cameron Carter-Vickers, so we'll be watching that as well. Then the next game on Sunday, you have the EFL Championship playoff final, which will be Leeds versus Southampton. Which would be there. And the second leg, the final leg of the Liga MX final, we will see what will be there. And then the day before this podcast comes back next week, you have the Conference League final, which I will be in next year, which is Olympiacos versus Fiorentina, which will be a great game as well.
All right, well done, sir. Let's head back home and let's kick it with some MLS.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. All right, you see some results there. One of the things I want to talk about was one of the one of the more fun games that I got to see and then rewatch some of the highlights of, and that would be Real Salt Lake in Colorado, 5-3.
God.
Right, an amazing back and forth game. American Zach Steffen did not have the greatest of games, but we'll let that be. Also, a big one for you to talk about: Columbus Crew 3, Chicago Fire 1. I know you love it. And my
They actually won a
Galaxy,
game in the U.S. I'm proud of them.
I know, and my Galaxy, who are now king of the draw.
Yeah, I like what like Columbus was. Now you are. I don't know what's going on here.
We've hit a streak. The only thing I can be happy about is, unlike in other Galaxy years, or even just let's talk about last year. I wouldn't say other Galaxy years, but big time last year. These aren't losses.
Yeah, true.
Last year, these are losses, and that's why we didn't make the playoffs. These are
And it
not
shows in the
losses.
standings.
Absolutely, yeah, we will touch on that. It absolutely does. Inter Miami, speaking of those standings, are top of the East, followed by you. Columbus has fallen down to 7th. We will talk about that. Other results you want to touch on?
Yeah, well, you said Inter Miami, another close one. Barely won this game. DC had more shots, but a stoppage time goal from Leonardo Campagna saved them from dropping more points and dropping out of first place for the first time since April. So they kept afloat there. Still struggling without Messi. The other result I wanted to talk to that's not my game was Orlando beating San Jose 1-0. San Jose yet again finds a way to drop points late. An 89th minute goal from Jack Lynn wins it for Orlando, and San Jose continues to point me and their fans because they are much better than what they are playing right now. And finally, another win for your FC Cincinnati, 3-1 versus St. Louis. Another dominant win. So dominant that we had to score a goal against ourselves to really make things interesting. An own goal from Miazga made it 2-1, but then we tucked away for 3-1. But in all seriousness, absolutely hitting our stride, and Acosta again is looking like an MVP candidate. Even more so if Messi continues to miss more time.
I cannot believe you sometimes. Let's talk about so with that draw or with your win there, you move within 1 point of Inter Miami. As we said, they were top, followed by you. As I did mention, Columbus dropping down to 7th. That is just that's not good, Columbus Crew fans. But there is also 2 games in hand. So there's no real need to panic whatsoever.
No.
Minnesota, or I'm sorry, that's on the Western Conference side. Real Salt Lake still top, followed by Minnesota. And hey, Austin FC deserves some credit too.
Yeah.
Climbing up the table after a bit of a, back kind of a shaky start there. And then, hey, my Galaxy have jumped above my little brother club, LAFC, because we continue to at least not fully drop points. We've dropped some points, but we've maintained
Staying
on
afloat.
staying afloat on the loss column. Like I said, I just wanted to make the playoffs because I think once we get into the playoffs, I think we can beat anybody in a 2-game in a 2-game set there. So I'm not so much worried about the regular season, which is also sometimes why I get a little disappointed in the MLS setup because I want to care more about the regular season. Different story, different time, not today. Let's preview this upcoming week's games. As you see, we'll start there at the top. Charlotte FC and Philly, Columbus and Orlando City, my Galaxy, Houston Dynamo. I think that'll be a good game. Go ahead and touch on some other ones.
Yeah, a lot of kind of lower table or high versus low table ones this week. Not a lot of close games, but there is one. And fortunately for me, it's my game. Toronto FC goes and takes on FC Cincinnati, 2 top 5 teams in the East. And if y'all remember, a rematch from week 1. Both teams looking very strong as of late. Toronto with that 5-1 win, absolutely dominating. And FC Cincinnati yet to lose since we played Monterrey in the Champions Cup. So both looking very strong. It should be a good game, and we're hoping to get some revenge on Toronto from week 1 because that was a tough game to watch from losing Vasquez to watching my team struggle so much offensively. But we've come a long way.
Question for you. With all of the travel and not having Messi, does Vancouver trip up Inter Miami this week?
Yeah, because Vancouver, I think they have a real good shot. I think Vancouver looks strong in the beginning of the season. They have struggled a little bit as of late, but coming and playing a depleted and tired Inter Miami squad, I think it's definitely an idea if they can lock in that defense and kind of counterattack against that. They're going to give up possession, but as long as you're able to counterattack, play well, and catch them off guard, just kind of do what DC United did, but better, and you should at least get a draw out of this.
I agree. I think Vancouver can put some money on an upset there. And I know it's been a while since I've just thrown some random bets out there, but I took a break. AKA I just don't prepare stuff betting wise for the pod because I'm preparing for college football because we're gonna do something major come college football season. But my other question would be, does FC Dallas have a chance to kind of trip up the red hot top of the Western Conference, Real Salt Lake?
So FC Dallas has kind of been up and down so far these past couple weeks. They had a good win last week, but they've also had some tough losses. I think Real Salt Lake's on a roll right now. I think maybe if this game was in September, maybe if it was in August, I could see it. But I think FC Dallas is just hitting Real Salt Lake at the wrong time. I don't think so. I think Real Salt Lake takes one, maybe not comfortably, but enough to win this one.
Okay. I like it. Hey, that does it for your MLS preview as well. So, Drew, I've got some sad news for the people, but it's followed by some good news. Ladies and gentlemen, your domestic leagues all around the world are wrapping up. They're all done with their leagues. They're all done with their cups, which means in terms of official preview, today is one of your last Americans abroad. But
don't give the good news yet.
So, with his last official Americans abroad, Drew, give the people what they want.
Yes. So we only have 2 this week because, like I said, everyone's wrapping up. Some teams aren't even playing. They didn't even play this weekend because their seasons are wrapped up. But we still have some players. First off, Kevin Paredes, a goal for Wolfsburg in a 3-1 loss. The 21-year-old finished with 3 goals in his first full season playing consistent minutes. I honestly expect a jump next season. This kid is super talented, and he'll be getting a lot more chances. And finally, the other one this week is Brendan Aronson again, another surprise. Finishes the season strong with 2 assists in his last 3 games, which helped his club stay away from relegation. He will now return to Leeds, which isn't a place that I think he's looking to stay for long. They have already said they're looking for another loan or another permanent transfer, depending on what offer comes. So we will see where he ends up after that. So that is what you have this week. However, Ken, you have some good news.
Yes, I do. This is not the end of Americans abroad. It's just the end of us actually talking them overseas. And that is because as we go into this summer, we have all kinds of stuff that's going on with the United States men's national team. So they would no longer be our Americans abroad. They will be the Yanks are coming because, God damn it, this summer the Yanks are coming. All right. 2 summer friendlies coming up, as you see. The United States men's national team will take on Colombia and Brazil in 2 absolute massive tune-up games as we get ready for the biggest tournament of the summer, Copa America. We have teased all summer, winter long, spring and winter long, that we were going to be talking about this stuff as we got closer to the summer. Well, hey, guess what? Look outside. The sun is shining. Summer is here. So is soccer. The summer of soccer. Are you feeling the footy? Okay. The Copa America is here. So Copa America begins June 1st through July 15th. The United States men's national team is in Group A with Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. And I'm going to say it now, with the talent on this United States men's roster, and I know you're not going to let me get too far ahead, we, just like in the World Cup, should make it out of this group.
Absolutely.
The United States men's national team just made me punch the mic.
I absolutely agree with you. If I'm being completely honest, I think a minimum of 7 points, I think, is out of this group. I think Bolivia, you should win that one. You should get 3 points. I think that should not say Panama, that should say Paraguay. Paraguay, you should get 3 points out of a win.
Yes.
And Uruguay, I think you should draw with Uruguay. If there's a loss, if it's a close loss, I'll accept it. But I think a draw at a minimum is the expectation. I think that's 7 points at the minimum. And so, yeah, and then you have the winners of Group B coming in, which I don't know off the top of my head, but I think this is a team that, with the talent that it has, should be able to make it, if like a minimum out of the group stage. And I think, honestly, minimum past the first round of Copa eliminations of that tournament. So we've talked about the friendlies, and we're talking about a couple. We'll get to the Olympics a little bit later, but as you can see, it runs July 24th through August 10th.
And before you keep going, in June, before Copa America starts, we will do a full Copa America breakdown. We'll go through the groups. We will give you kind of a preview of what you can expect out of each group. We will then kind of do a larger breakdown of the United States men's national team's group. We'll break down each game, what we think might happen. As the roster gets shortened, we will talk about that. I know we're going to talk about that here in a second. And then we will talk about those Olympic games as we get closer to those. We are going to have a full breakdown, I would probably say next week, of both of those United States men's national teams versus Colombia and versus Brazil. Those are absolute major stepping stone, major, I don't even know what
Building
blocks, tests. I don't know what phrase you want to use, but use it for those two friendlies against, like I said, Colombia and Brazil. We will break those down in full and preview them in full as well. Go ahead, Drew.
Yes, and so like we said, we'll get to the Summer Olympics when we get to it. We'll get to the games when we get to it. But something was announced this week, and that is, if not, all, because there will be some cuts after these friendlies. There actually just be one, because we'll get to it. The roster for these friendlies and as well for Copa has dropped, and here we go. This is a 27-man roster. You need to take 26 to Copa, so one man will be gone. We'll be telling you who that is because it's pretty obvious. But as we can see, goalkeepers, Matt Turner and Ethan Horvath from Nottingham Forest and Sean Johnson from Toronto.
All right, let's break that down. Let's go by position group real quick. So, no Zach Steffen. We'll get that out of the way first and foremost. That's not a surprise. He hasn't. I mean, Colorado has not been playing the greatest. So therefore, he has not been playing the greatest. Matt Turner has done nothing to kind of lose the job, even though he's kind of lost his own job. I guess the only thing for me is Ethan Horvath isn't playing at all. So, I mean, at least Zach Steffen's playing. So, I mean, I guess he could potentially, well, that's why I would say potentially get a call up. But at this point, it kind of becomes what group is comfortable. This is a quarterback room. We don't want a quarterback controversy. We don't want it at all. So we can't keep the other guy who lost his job. Drew Bledsoe has to get traded. There's no Zach Steffen in this goalkeeper room, and it kind of sucks.
That is also a dated reference now I hope you know that.
I know.
But I agree with you. The only other person I would say is Slonina, but we'll get into it a little bit later. The Olympics is 23 of age and under. You do get 3 overage players, but Slonina being under the age and not being a top goalkeeper, it's a lock that he's going to make that Olympic squad and get some starts. So it makes more sense for him to go and get playing time then and not during Copa.
No Zach Steffen?
I have him honestly as my overage I know you don't like competition, but for a second place goalie, Slonina and Steffen as your goalkeepers into the Olympics, I like a lot more.
Okay. I mean, but you're going to use up 2 of those spots?
Yep. Well, Slonina's already under the limit.
Oh, yeah.
Steffen is just the one.
Never mind. I have a different name for that, but we'll continue. All right. Moving on to the defenders.
Yeah, so we brought 5 center backs, including Tim Ream from Fulham, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic, Mark McKenzie from Genk, Miles Robinson from FC Cincinnati, and Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. And then rounding out your fullbacks, you have Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Joe Scally from Mönchengladbach, Christopher Lund from Palermo, and Shaq Moore from Nashville. Now, like we said earlier, Serginho Dest, ACL injury, not able to make it, but there were some names that could have replaced Shaq Moore in that Nashville list. But I will say there is one that it's in my head, and I'll let you speak first. He can also play for the Olympics, and so I think that might be come into consideration as well, that he will be getting a starting spot at the Olympics instead of battling it out with Joe Scally and that right back during Copa.
I'm going to say something that I don't know how some people are going to feel about it, but I'm just going to say it. I don't care about the Olympics.
Fair.
I know we haven't been there in so long. I know that's probably why, but I care more about Copa. If we didn't have Copa, obviously I would care about every single player who is possibly able to be on that Olympic team being there, and then
Yeah.
sneaking in how many exemptions do you get? Age exemptions?
Three.
I would sneak in the 3 best players that you could sneak into those spots.
Oh yeah.
So, but we don't have that. We have Copa America, and Copa America is more important. So
I agree.
that kind of bothers me there. Uh Tim Ream, I think, is the biggest name on this list. And do you know why?
Because he hasn't played since February.
Number one, I think this could potentially be it.
I
I
could see
think
that.
I think if Tim Ream has a bad Copa America, I don't think there is any chance that we see Tim Ream come World Cup time, especially when Mark McKenzie, Miles Robinson, Chris Richards are all healthy. All 3 of those guys are young and under the age of 26. I think with
Yeah.
Miles Robinson being the oldest at 26, the other 2 are young. We're potentially talking about a 3-back system with those guys, even when Dest and Anton Robinson are both healthy and active, just because of the way you would be able to push Serginho Dest forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not, I'll let you complain about the specific names. I'm not mad here because Joe Scally is going to, for me, slide into that starting spot. I know there was an issue in during whichever fake tournament that we play in that I hate that we play in that you yell at me that I
Nations
have to
League.
pay attention to. Yeah, Nations League, one of them. I know there was an issue in one of those games. I watched it, but I think him and Lund can kind of battle for that spot. And I know that's why you're kind of not super happy about the Shaq Moore, because I didn't even mention him here as a potential starter or backup. So go ahead and give me the name that you wanted to give me or give
So,
up.
well, yeah. First, I will agree with you on the Tim Ream one. Honestly, my hot take is unless we're playing with 3 center backs, I don't think Ream touches the field. I think Chris Richards and I think someone else pairing is a way better pairing, center back pairing than Tim Ream trying to keep up with a South American style of football, which is insanely fast paced. I don't think that it's good for him. So I think if it's a 3 center back system, I'm okay with him in there, but I don't think he's going to come. In
Noted.
terms of the center backs, yeah. In terms of the fullbacks, and also for the center backs, my bad. The player that I was considering instead of Tim Ream was Austin Trusty. He plays for Sheffield United. However, he did have somewhat of a poor season. However, I think he is my second player to be an exemption on this Olympic squad. There is a lack of depth when it comes to under 23s in our center back. So I think him leading the line there, I think, is a good idea.
On your Austin Trusty note, I did not want him on this roster. I will absolutely take him and want him on that Olympic roster. That's exactly the kind of person that I want to use that exemption on. That's somebody who has Premier League experience, albeit there were a lot of those games where his experience was getting torched.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I want him there.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep going.
So yeah, as for the fullbacks,
We agree,
Shaq
Joe
Moore.
Scally. We agree, Joe Scally is that number 1 option now that Serginho Dest is hurt.
Yes. So obviously you have Anthony Robinson on the left. He is your guaranteed starter. Joe Scally is going to be on the right. There's a name that we haven't talked about because he's later on down the list. But if we are in a back 5, Tim Weah as your right wing back playing up the thing is also a very viable option. Christopher Lund being that backup. And also not being a lot of good depth past that. Like I said, thank you, Ray. Thank you for joining in for us.
Appreciate you, big dog.
There is not a lot of depth. There is a name, Brian Reynolds, that is a name that could have been that right back. However, he is under 23 and can be your starting right back in the Olympics instead of being maybe the 4th or 5th option in Copa. So Shaq Moore, pretty decent defensively, not great, but decent enough defensively if we need him as an emergency break glass in case of emergency kind of thing. No really offense to speak of, but that's not what we're looking for putting him in. I think it's the okay option there.
When does that Olympic roster get dropped?
There is not really a plan yet. I'm assuming it'll come between Copa. Honestly, it would either become before Copa starts or right after Copa ends, because they're
Okay.
not going to want to do it during the tournament.
My only counter before I say this, so I'm gonna hedge this because I could
Mhm.
absolutely be wrong here. I wonder if there was a conversation with some of these younger players,
Yeah,
Austin Trusty and the one you just mentioned.
Brian
Hey,
Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds, sorry. Do you want to come up and sit on the bench for Copa, or do you want to start in the Olympics? And
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm Austin Trusty, I'm not playing over Mark McKenzie. I'm not, who hasn't even had his opportunity to play in one of these tournaments because he gets
yeah,
hurt every damn time we have one. So I'm glad to see him healthy. When you mentioned Chris Richards starting, who starts next to him? For me, it's Mark McKenzie. I know I'm a big, you know how much I love Richards, and I called him Richards again, or Richardson again. Oh, I think one time. You know how much I love this Richards Robertson connection. But you
mhm,
know how much I love McKenzie too. Uh,
yeah.
why not just play with the back three and then
I
just
could, yeah,
let Anton and Timmy Weah play? And then you can bring in Joe Scally as a defensive replacement. But so I know I just kind of switched gears and gave you a formation, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those younger players were given an option. And
absolutely.
if I'm a younger player, let's be honest, you see where the pecking order is. So some of these guys, it's a no-brainer decision.
Mhm.
All right. So as he kind of skips through, I'll wait till kind of he reconnects. We will switch over to our midfielders and our forwards. Straub, your connection straighten you out there?
Yeah, so we're good here. So as for
All
our
right.
midfielders, like I said, pretty chalk except for one specific person. But like we said, this will be the person that will be cut once Copa comes around. To start off, we have Tyler Adams back from injury from Bournemouth. We have Wes McKinney fresh off a title for Juventus. You have Luca de la Torre from Celta de Vigo. You have Brendan Aronson. It says Leeds. He played for Union Berlin for this season. Johnny Cardoso coming off an amazing back half of the year for Real Betis after his transfer. Yunus Musa from AC Milan didn't start enough, but he is definitely a core member of this team, if not a first off the bench kind of guy. Gio Reyna, a very disappointing season at Nottingham Forest, going back to Dortmund, but again, one of those guys that he's going to play for us. He is that good. Malik Tillman, the exact opposite, an absolutely on fire season from PSV, and his older brother, Timmy Tillman from LAFC. I'm pretty sure this is probably just a camp roster invite to see what we're going to get out of him. He will be the man that will be cut once this roster from Copa is leveled on. But it'll be
Yes.
interesting to see what he gives, what he brings to the table if he gets his chance in one of these friendlies.
Yeah, listen, I hope he gets some time in a friendly. And I hope it's not because Colombia or Brazil, or actually, I hope it's because Brazil. It isn't because Brazil is just beating the living daylights out of us and we're
Yeah,
calling all the dogs off. So we're going to stay in the midfielders for a second. Love to see Tyler Adams healthy. This is the same thing. Hey, we've complained every time we've gone into one of these tournaments, I mean, even potentially in the World Cup, some of these injuries and some of these bugs that have kept guys down. Tyler Adams is healthy. Mark McKenzie is healthy. Chris Richards healthy. Miles Robinson healthy. I know Serginho Dest is down, but other than that, so Gio Reyna is healthy as well in that midfield. So I have a question about this. I know there's been for the longest time in the United States men's national team, while the talent is rich throughout the positions, this team has had an issue sometimes, especially in the midfield, that when Tyler Adams, Weston McKinney, or Jonas Musa were not playing, there was a major drop off on the next guys because usually Reyna isn't healthy, and usually and I'm sorry, I'll be honest, Brendan Aronson did not have many great performances when it came to World Cup, when it came to some real crunch time. Being said, has the pecking order changed in the United States men's national team midfield? And this is what I mean by this, Andrew. Tyler Adams, yes. Weston McKinney, yes. Because not only have they performed for their clubs, but we saw what Tyler Adams meant to this team in that Mexico game. So he reestablished himself in my mind as a starter for this United States men's
absolutely.
national team. with his current form, is Malik Tillman your starter in the midfield three over Jonas Musa and Gio Reyna?
That is a very tough question because Malik Tillman had an amazing year. So here is what I love to talk about. I love formations. I love pecking orders. I love seeing this stuff. So
We were gonna have a quick show.
I know we've seen Malik Tillman play in club. We really haven't seen him show up when he comes to play for country. So, in my opinion, when you have something like that, you become the first guy off the bench when things aren't going correctly. And that is because when you are playing a Brazil, a Colombia, a Uruguay, you have to make sure you are doing what works. And what works for this team is having Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams be your double pivot behind the line with Gio Reyna running that midfield. And while he has not played very well, or if at all, for Nottingham Forest, as soon as you saw it in the Mexico game, and as soon as he came on for the Jamaica game, he is able to distribute the ball better than anyone else on this team. And I think you can't lose that, especially against these teams who can be very vulnerable defensively when they don't have the ball. And so I think, but to your point, though, we have had depth and a closer depth than we've had in a long, long time. Johnny Cardoso can maybe not like for like, but pretty well match up with Tyler Adams if he had to come out. Luca De La Torre and Yunus Musa can match up with Weston McKennie if he has to come out. Malik Tillman and at times Brendan Aronson can replace Gio Reyna if Gio has to come out. You have these players that I think are very much closer than they were a year ago to being the next guy on or the first man off the bench. I just think that with what we've seen in the past tournament in Nations League and the familiarity that these players have with each other, I don't think you mix it up too much unless things are going wrong, because then there's time to make a change. But I don't think that there's been enough evidence to say that any three of those players should come off or should not even start when this tournament starts.
I only asked you that question so you could go on a spiel about a couple of those players and just kind of shine there for a second. Yeah, no problem, bro. It's what we do, baby. Love you. I also don't disagree with you. I mean, but because like you said, the way Cardoso can play, the way Tillman can come in, little Tillman, little bigger Tillman, the way Luca De La Torre has played and has been for Celta de Vigo, I just wanted to open it up there. I don't disagree. I think, like you said, Gio's the starter there. Gio's game is built to play against South American teams. It's why he dominates when we play against Mexico. It's why he looks good in those games. It's why he can look out of place sometimes when we play against those European teams. It's why he has sometimes struggled to get into the Borussia Dortmund side until it's later on, or he comes in as a sub, or he doesn't play full games. Sometimes that style of play does not always translate to a more contained defensive style. Now,
also to say, Ken knows his geography. Mexico plays like a South American team. That's kind of what we were getting at. Mexico is in North America. He knows that. I just wanted to put that on the podcast so they didn't think that we weren't geographically challenged.
It don't matter. We will clip at some point me just throwing that in there. I knew that, but you're right. Because I guess the difference would be Jamaica doesn't play like a South American team.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
Mexico does. So that was why I threw Mexico in there. You knew what I meant. Football heads know what I had. The footy fans knew what I meant. Yes, somebody who's listening in is like, what did he just say? But now you derailed me, but that's okay. This midfield is deep, like we talked about. Gio is still for me the starter. It's a 3-man mid, or center mid, 2 in that pivot, like you said, Adams and McKennie. Gio up there. We will talk about the other guys, but I think the Colombia and Brazil game are huge because the two opponents that you're going to face in a friendly are going to be better than anyone that you face in the group stage. So if some of these guys come out, if Gio comes out, if somebody comes out and has a really awful game, some of these spots are up for grabs, and that definitely comes into play when we talk about the next group. But So yeah, definitely not just depth in the midfield, but something we've never had. Options to go to if something isn't working. Now,
Yeah,
that doesn't mean
exactly.
Greg's going to do any of that, but
I
there
mean,
are
in
options.
theory, it's great.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to the last group.
Yeah, so move on to forwards. And like I was telling you, and what thankfully Greg did, we have brought 4 strikers, which initially you kind of shake your head at, but
No, we brought them all, baby. Let's go.
realizing. So I'll list them out here. Your wingers, at least, Christian Pulisic from AC Milan, we know that. Tim
Hold on, I
Weah
want to
from
stop.
Juventus.
I want to stop you. I want to break the forwards down into separate groups.
Mm-hmm.
How is that cool?
Yeah, do you want me to list them real quick?
No. So let's start with the first 2 that you just named. Or let's go through those first 2. Go ahead.
Yep. So those are your left and right wingers. Obviously, like we said earlier, Tim Weah could play right wing back, but these are your guys that are going to be playing every day. And Weah had somewhat of a rough season at Juventus, but like half the Americans on here, as soon as they put on the red, white, and blue, they turn it on and they play well. And Christian Pulisic is Christian Pulisic. He's Captain America. He's playing every single minute that he can.
Absolutely. So that's why I wanted to do this. Let's get Chris out of the way first and foremost. Chris is going to play. Chris is going to start. Captain's our band. Maybe actually probably Tyler Adams. Whatever they want to do. Don't care about that situation. Chris, this is a big tournament for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big thing for me. You know, I am very critical of Chris. I'm probably one of the more critical, and I love that I can say this. I'm one of the more critical American pundits in terms of talking about Christian Pulisic, because all of you kind of just dick ride him, and it's not that I don't think he's great, and it's not that I don't think he's one of the top whatever players in American history. The problem I have with Christian Pulisic is when he puts on the red, white, and blue, Christian sometimes thinks he has to do everything and he needs to be Superman. And I think the problem is when Landon Donovan played, when Clint Dempsey played, they had to do that. And there were times they had to drag those American teams kicking and screaming because they were the most talented player on the field. Me and you have had conversations. In terms of just pure raw talent, Gio Reyna is the most talented guy on this team. Serginho Dest is up there in the top 5.
Yeah.
There are young guys coming up through the ranks. Malik Tillman, the way Ricardo Pepe. There are guys with real talent, some of which have talent that could surpass Christian Pulisic. That doesn't mean he isn't the best player on the field. What I'm saying is he has to trust his guys. What have I told you is the key to Christian Pulisic? And every time he does it, he scores a damn goal. The problem with Chris is when he scores for Chelsea, when he scored for Chelsea and they were winning the Champions League, and when he's been great for Milan, he picks up the ball in the final third, and that's where he is devastating. His moves are deadly. He gets past players and he finishes in front of goal. He also has an amazing instinct to get in the right places in front of goal as well. Sometimes he can get in the way of his strikers, but when you play with good strikers like he's going to for this Copa, and as he does at Milan, he finds those open runs. When he picks up the ball for the United States men's national team in half field, or right in front of the midfield line, or right in front of that half field line, and he tries to make these 45-yard runs, it doesn't work all the time, and it's frustrating because there's other talented guys that will give him the ball in front of goal, allowing him to show where he is best and be great for this national team. So yes, I'm very critical of Chris because I want more out of him. Because I want more out of him, not because I don't think he's great, because I think he's really, really good, and I think he can be great, and not on the terms of American great. I'm talking in the world great, because in terms of American great, yeah, cool, he's great. I don't care about that. That's not good enough. So that's my thing with Chris. I wanted to get that out of the way.
That's fair.
Let's get to Timmy now, because after that I want to get Timmy out of the way. Then I want to talk about these 4 strikers because it's been a long time. Actually, we've never had the 4 of them together. I want to have the conversation that every other United States men's national team wants to have, and how do we play with these 4 strikers? So Christian Pulisic is going to start on the right-hand side. Where does Timmy Weah start? Because that is an important conversation when then we turn to the next 4. If you're Greg Berhalter, do you play Timmy Weah where he has been playing, which is in a wingback position for Juventus, or do you put him back up on the wing where he has played for the United States men's national team and has had flashes and has had some good games and some great games and has had some bad games and some games?
I think you play both. I think both is the exact right answer here because you are going to be playing massively different levels of competition in this tournament. The first two games, you are playing possibly the two favorites in this tournament, if not for Uruguay and Argentina, but definitely Brazil. And I think Colombia is like the fourth or fifth best option there in the South American teams. So in that time, you are going to have to play three center backs with wing backs, and that is where you are going to put Tim Way as a right wing back. But then you're going to be playing Paraguay and Bolivia, who are basically near the bottom of the pecking order in terms of favorites. And then you can play four at the back and put Tim Way at that right wing back and let him take on defenders. I think this is honestly a great opportunity for Greg and for Tim Weah to show, regardless of the formation that you were going to put out there, he has a spot.
I'm on the field. And I'm a guaranteed starter. As we get closer to these games, we're going to actually map out some formations and that we think that we're going to play. And we're not going to go
it's already in an Excel sheet, baby. Don't even worry about it.
I love you. You're going to have to walk me through some tips on that one. Or I'm just going to put it in that little FIFA app that we have. Okay, so Timmy Weah starts, which means more than likely you're only going to play with one striker. And we brought four. We brought, hands down, and I can say this, the four most talented strikers in United States men's national team history. Somewhere Clint Dempsey is going to get this clipped and sent to him, and he's going to want to punch me in the face. Clint, I love you, bro. I do. I know
you know where he's from, dog.
Oh, I know where he's from, dog. Okay, and I know he's from somewhere, Arthurport, Texas, or some like that. And I'm from Bedford. All right, so listen, I get it, Clint. I get you, but like, don't ever. You're not the only white boy who grew up like that. So calm down. I'm just saying. And I know I named my son
Landon. Out Clint Dempsey for.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Better soccer player than me and would punch me in the face. I mean, I would punch him back. I'm just saying. Love you, Clint. And I know I named my son Landon, and I love you, but I love you too, Clint. But this is in talent wise. I mean, Clint would be right in here with these guys. I'm not saying he wouldn't be, but this crop of talent is amazing. Josh Sargent from Norwich, Ricardo Pepi coming off his championship at PSV, Haji Wright at Coventry, Florian Balogun at Monaco. These guys are talented and they're all healthy at the same time. Unfortunately, shout out to our guy, help me here, who got hurt recently from West Brom, who is not part of this group. We would like to have him here as well, but yeah. Either way. I know I put you on the spot. Now we're searching for names and nobody can find it, but that's okay. We're moving on. So these four guys are, Daryl DK. That would be the only other possibility of having in here. Then Timmy Tillman isn't there and you got to cut one of your strikers. But four guys, four very talented guys. Like I said, Josh, Ricardo, Haji, Florian, Straub on the spot. Two strikers, one striker. Who do you start first? Who comes off the bench?
So you could technically do two strikers, but I think with the talent in the midfield, I think you have to stick to one. I think your starter, and I think this is just based on, this is not my opinion because I think it's too close to call in my opinion. I think it's between Josh Sargent and Fuller and Balogun. I think based off of Greg's previous rosters, I think Balogun gets the start. I think Josh comes off the bench. I think Pepi, if needed, I think can come in. And I'm not talking about Haji because, and it's been said, and I even talked about it with you before Greg even said it, Haji for Coventry has played a very much a wide forward / winger position. Mm-hmm. And that is something that he can come off the bench for a Chris or for a Weah if needed be. And I think that is exactly why we brought four strikers here.
And that is something that Greg has said that Haji is not, he's going to do that. That is what Greg said he's going to do.
Which is honestly like shock, like props to Greg, shocker. That's like, in my head, I was like, well, that makes complete sense. And then before the roster dropped, I'm like, he's not going to do it. It makes too much sense. And then he did. So I'm like, props to Greg for thinking critically in that situation. But I think all four of these strikers, if they were given a start or if they were given, a role off the bench, would absolutely kill it and change the game. Balogun makes very good runs, is very good on the ball. Sargent is very good at creating open space and shooting for himself and getting, that one-time shot. Ricardo Pepi makes amazing runs and is able to just, weave in and out of defenders. Haji Wright is that big body that you can put in the box, as well as Pepi, to get that header and get on the thing. But Haji Wright can also hold up play. All these guys have different talents, and I think that's exactly why Greg was okay with bringing all of them, because depending on your opponent, their speed, their formation, how they want to play with and without the ball, you can kind of pick and choose who to put on your front line, and they could just absolutely shred them up depending on, who you put out there.
Brilliant. Same as the last time I set you up for this, so you could kind of ramble there, and then I'm going to kind of put a bow in this conversation because we've already dived way too far into this, and I want to save some of this for when we actually can preview the games. I don't. Oh no, pull that back off for 1 second for me, and then we'll put the bow on it. I don't disagree with what you said there. My thing is, and you know how I am, and you know that I put all of my biases away when we talk about college football and basketball and college basketball and hockey, although I don't have any hockey biases. When we talk about and we get into this footy, when we talk Premier League, I know I make all my 115 city and my empty head jokes, but there's no denying 4-time champions. I put respect on Real Madrid. I put respect on these teams. When it comes to the United States men's national team, there are certain biases that I just believe in and I will stand by them. One of them is I have an MLS bias. I know we cover the MLS and I love the MLS. I love my Galaxy. I love talking about the MLS. I believe our best players come out and go to Europe or come from Europe. You know how much on top of that, I'm a Josh Sargent guy. I'm a Josh Sargent fan. I love the work he puts in. I love the shifts he puts in up top. I love the way he works for the team. Ricardo Pepi has that MLS background. That will always be something that I kind of hold against him a little bit.
And he didn't start a lot this year. He played very little minutes.
Right. So for me, and I understand, and because of Haji Wright starting predominantly on the wing and doing a lot of wing work for Coventry, and because Florian Balogun had some up and down, really, really up and down, and I wouldn't even say up and down. He had some very long low points. We were making jokes left and effing right on this show. Sun rises, sun sets, Josh Sargent scores a goal. Josh Sargent is your 9. He starts up top for me. He has replaced Florian because of his form. I personally think he should start there. I think Chris should start on the wing. And I, think Haji Wright should start on the other wing. I'm previewing some formation stuffs because I think you should flirt with Timmy Weah coming off the bench in the most awesome pick your role, what is needed. Do we need a bit of a defensive presence? Perfect. He goes in at wing back. Do we need to attack? Beautiful. Haji comes off, he goes in, somebody else goes in up top, whether that be Florian. That's what I'm thinking right now. So Josh Sargent for me is your starter, if not Florian, but I believe Haji has a contention to start on that winger position. I think Ricardo, unfortunately, is 4th in the pecking order. Not saying he shouldn't be on this roster, not saying he shouldn't see minutes and get some real chances. Just that's it for me. So
no, absolutely. I think Josh has just as good of an opportunity from Balogun to start as either one. Like I said, mine was more of just if you look at the starters of Greg's teams, it's been Balogun, and that's why I think he'll continue with him, just to continue to try to build up that connection with him, Chris, and Weah and Reyna, because when World Cup time comes, we got Balogun for a reason. He's starting at a French team that's second in Ligue 1. Like, there's a reason why we want Balogun up top, is because when it comes down to it, he is your most talented striker, just with basic skill, not with performance, but basic skill.
100%. I'm with you there still. Okay. That'll do it for our United States men's national team segment, which I think might have been longer than everything else.
Anything else?
That's okay. That was great. I'm actually going to clip that, and I'm going to tell everybody else now. We are going to clip that as its own separate episode segment and put that out on its own, because we want to get some thoughts and get that around on some soccer stuff, and I want to clip that with some other stuff as well. Whew. Thanks for rocking with us here again for the Straub Bros Sports Show this week. Here on the 216 Sports Network. The 216 Sports Network is where you can find us. You can follow and like us on Facebook. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. As I said at the top of the show, those subscriptions numbers are up almost into the 800 range. We are trying to get up there. Help us out by subscribing. That's where you can find all of us on the 216 Sports Network. I will give everyone their shout outs, I should say, when my graphic works, unless my brother can throw it up for me. And he can. Good assist. The 216 Sports Network, 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Straub Bros Sports Show. Straub Bros Sports Show, that's us. You can find us all over the place as well. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Twitter or X at Straub Bros Sports. You can find us on Instagram, Straub Bros Sports Show, and you can find us on Spotify. Just search Straub and it comes up. You can rock with us back to the beginning. You can go through some of our college football shows. You can dive through when we covered college basketball in-depthly and nailed all kinds of things, just like we did during the college football season. And you can also check out all of the footy-related stuff that we've had on our show, in terms of some crunch time episodes, some United States men's national team breakdown, and this amazing clip that we just ran through that I'm going to clip and put out for the footy heads as well. I also want to give a shout out once again, KZ Productions. We are on their Facebook and their YouTube page as well. Make sure you are following and liking and following and subscribing there as well. Also, my other shout out, Akron City FC. Thank you for my jersey. We will be there this weekend. Me and Straub, like I said, Straub Bros exclusives, pre-game interview. We're going to try to touch base with Logan Congrove again, get a little pre-match, get a little pre-game, little insight on what the team's been like at practice and what their mindset is going into this game. Halftime, me and Straub will do our thing again. And then post-game, once again, we are going to talk to Coach. We will hopefully be talking to an Akron City FC goal scorer, and then we will probably try to sit down with our goalie Ty again and have a good conversation with him. Also, a big shout out this week. Bow. My guy Austin Fink, my guy over at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Check them out on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021 and get the actual merchandise at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. Don't ride the wave. Create your own wave. Drew, final shout outs.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Now, later, really later, doesn't matter. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, if you're in Cleveland, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Go outside and enjoy your Friday. But then, listen, boys and girls, it's going to be rainy Saturday and Sunday. We got some cup finals to watch this weekend. Go inside, watch your soccer. Enjoy the game that we enjoy the game so that when summertime comes and you get to watch some United States men's national team, you are excited, you understand, and you are just as eager to watch it and probably heartbreaking to watching as we will be when we watch it this summer.
I love it. You are not invited over for the 10 a.m. Manchester United game. I want to watch that game alone, and in my sorrows and in my silence. You're more than welcome to come over later in the day before we go to the Akron game, as always. Thank you again, everybody. We really, truly appreciate you. If you were in the comments with us, the viewers, you guys have been rocking with us big time throughout the lives. We appreciate that. Our Spotify numbers are going up, so we appreciate your love on the Spotify as well. Please make sure you like and you follow us on Spotify as well. Throw us in your playlist, run us through wherever you want to take us. We appreciate that as well. Straub Bros Sports Show coming for you this summer, as well as the 216 Sports Network. And as everybody knows, please remember, always love